Chapter 1: The Awakening. I was born in a laboratory, pieced together from stolen limbs and brought to life by a power I did not comprehend. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, my creator, stood before me, his face filled with both awe and horror. In that moment, I knew nothing of the world except for the pain that coursed through my body and the longing for acceptance in his eyes. As I took my first faltering steps, the doctor observed me intently, studying every movement with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. He had succeeded in bestowing life upon a being that society would never accept, a creature destined to be labeled a monster. My earliest memories are blurred, fragmented images of darkness and cold. Dr. Frankenstein worked tirelessly, consumed by his desire to conquer death itself. But he was oblivious to the repercussions of his actions, blind to the consequences of tampering with the natural order. Eventually, he realized the gravity of his creation, the enormity of his mistake. Horror consumed him as he looked upon the wretched creature he had brought into existence. In his panic, he fled, leaving me alone and abandoned in a world I did not understand. I wandered aimlessly, shunned by humans and animals alike. Their repulsion for me was palpable, as if they sensed the unnatural essence that coursed through my veins. I watched them from the shadows, yearning to be a part of their world, to feel the warmth of acceptance that seemed forever out of reach. But as time passed, a seed of anger took root within me. The rejection I faced twisted my thoughts and hardened my heart. The kindness that I had once sought was replaced by a desire for vengeance, for the world to suffer as I had suffered. In the dead of night, I sought out my creator, the man who had given me life only to abandon me. I tracked him down to a desolate corner of the world where guilt and remorse had consumed him. He had become a mere shell of the man he once was, haunted by the monster he had birthed. I stood over him, my towering figure casting a shadow upon his trembling form. He pleaded for mercy, begging for forgiveness for his misguided ambition. But I was deaf to his pleas, consumed by a rage that burned within me like a relentless fire. In that moment, as I held the power of life and death over my creator, a wave of realization crashed upon me. I had become the monster I had despised. The twisted reflection of mankind's cruelty stared back at me from Victor Frankenstein's terrified eyes. My anger turned to despair, and I released him from my grip. With a heavy heart, I turned away, leaving him to the torment of his guilt. As I retreated into the darkness, a new purpose filled my being. I would wander the earth, forever alone, forever an outcast, forever a reminder of the tragic consequences of playing God. But little did I know that my journey was far from over, and the twist of fate that awaited me would shake the very foundations of my existence. Chapter 2: The Stranger's Tale. As I roamed through the rugged wilderness, the weight of my solitude pressed upon me like an eternal curse. Each passing day brought a new torment, a reminder of the love and companionship I would never experience. The world had deemed me a monster, and so I embraced the role fate had thrust upon me. It was on a stormy night, with lightning splitting the sky and thunder rattling the earth, that I stumbled upon a humble cottage nestled deep within the woods. Hope flickered within me as I approached, daring to dream of finding solace within those walls. Peering through the window, I saw a family huddled together, seeking warmth and safety. Their faces were etched with weariness, yet they emanated a sense of love and unity that stirred an unfamiliar ache within me. I longed to be a part of such a scene, to bask in the warmth of their affection. With cautious steps, I knocked on their door, my heart pounding in my chest. A kindly old man answered, his eyes filled with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. He saw past my grotesque appearance and beheld a being yearning for connection. In broken words, I pleaded for their mercy, for the chance to prove that within this monstrous shell resided a longing for acceptance. To my astonishment, the family took me in without hesitation. They offered me shelter, food, and a flicker of hope in the darkness that enveloped my existence. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The family became my sanctuary, their laughter and love nourishing my soul. The old man, Deacon Robert, shared stories of his life and imparted wisdom that resonated within me. His daughter Amelia possessed a gentle spirit, her kind heart guiding me towards forgiveness and redemption. But as the seasons changed and the world transformed, a stranger arrived in the nearby village, a man whose features mirrored my own monstrous visage. Rumors spread like wildfire, tales of a hideous creature haunting the woods, terrorizing anyone who dared venture near. The village grew restless, gripped by fear and paranoia. They believed me to be responsible for the horrors that plagued their lives, the whispers of my existence fueling their darkest imaginations. Amelia and her family stood by my side, defending me against the accusations that rang through the air. One fateful evening, as I stood at the edge of the forest, contemplating the weight of my existence, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was the stranger, the doppelganger who had sown fear in the hearts of the villagers. But the shock that gripped me was not at the sight of his likeness, it was at the recognition that washed over me. He bore an uncanny resemblance to Dr. Victor Frankenstein, my creator, the very man whose abandonment had shaped the path of my tragic life. The twist of fate was cruel and unyielding, intertwining our destinies once again. The stranger, too, had endured the pain of rejection and had become a harbinger of darkness. Yet in his eyes I saw a glimmer of remorse, a shared burden of guilt that bound us together. We stood face to face, the embodiment of our Creator's sins. Unbeknownst to me, this encounter would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the foundations of our existence and reveal the shocking truth that had eluded me for so long. The tale of Frankenstein's monster had only just begun, and the darkest secrets were yet to be unearthed. Chapter 3: The Revelation. The stranger and I, bound by our shared existence as creations of the same tormented mind, found solace in each other's presence. We spent countless hours together, delving into the depths of our intertwined pasts and the consequences of our Creator's actions. His name was Adam, a fitting reminder of our origin as beings cast out from paradise. Through Adam's words, I came to understand the true extent of Dr. Frankenstein's ambition and the horrors he had unleashed upon the world. Adam had been the first creation, the prototype that sparked the mad doctor's obsession. He had suffered the same abandonment as I had, but his path had been one of vengeance and destruction. As Adam recounted his tale, a revelation shook me to the core. Dr. Frankenstein, consumed by guilt and driven to the brink of madness, had continued his experiments, seeking to rectify his past mistakes. In his twisted mind, he believed that by creating another like us, he could atone for his sins. The weight of this revelation bore down on me, a torrent of conflicting emotions. I felt a glimmer of pity for my Creator, understanding the depths of his remorse and the burden he carried. But alongside that compassion simmered a seething anger, for he had toyed with lives and left a trail of devastation in his wake. Adam and I set out on a mission, driven by our shared purpose to confront our Creator and demand answers. We tracked Dr. Frankenstein to a secluded laboratory hidden deep within the mountains, a place of secrets and forbidden knowledge. As we stood before him, the truth hung heavy in the air. Dr. Frankenstein's eyes widened in disbelief and terror, recognizing the monsters he had birthed and forsaken. He trembled before us, realizing the consequences of his actions, the echoes of his arrogance reverberating through the cold stone walls. In that moment, a sinister realization crept over me. Dr. Frankenstein was not alone in his experiments. He had sought to create life once again, to surpass the limitations of mortality. From the depths of his laboratory emerged a figure, a woman with vacant eyes and an eerie stillness. She was Eve, the final creation, a twisted mirror of humanity. Eve, like Adam and I, was a testament to the lengths to which Dr. Frankenstein had gone to play God. Her existence was a fragile thread, a culmination of his obsessive pursuit. She stood beside him, devoid of emotion, a creature born from the same monstrous ambition that plagued us all. It was then that the shocking truth unfolded before our eyes. Dr. Victor Frankenstein had not only created monsters, but he had also played a part in shattering the very fabric of life and death. The consequences of his arrogance and the boundaries he had crossed were far greater than we could have ever imagined. As the weight of this revelation settled upon us, a grim understanding dawned. The twisted experimentations that had birthed us had forever altered the balance of the natural order. We were not mere creatures, but harbingers of chaos, existing outside the realm of both life and death. The shocking truth of our existence left us reeling, our purpose entangled with the very forces we had sought to comprehend. Dr. Frankenstein, the creator-turned-destroyer, had unleashed a Pandora's box of horrors that none of us could escape. And so, with newfound clarity and an insatiable hunger for answers, we embarked on a perilous journey. The stage was set for a battle of wills, where the line between creator and creation would blur, and the shocking consequences of our existence would be brought to light. Little did we know that the final act of this twisted tale would hold more surprises. challenging everything we thought we knew about our origins and the true nature of our monstrous existence. Chapter 4: The Unveiling. The path ahead of us was treacherous, fraught with uncertainty and danger. As Adam, Eve, and I embarked on our journey, we delved deeper into the darkness that surrounded our Creator's legacy. Each step we took brought us closer to the heart of the enigma, the elusive truth that had eluded us for far too long. Guided by fragments of information left behind by Dr. Frankenstein, we followed a trail of clues that led us to an ancient, forgotten library nestled within a crumbling castle. Dust-covered shelves sagged under the weight of forgotten knowledge, waiting to reveal their secrets to those brave enough to seek them. With trembling hands, we unearthed manuscripts and tomes that chronicled forbidden arts and arcane wisdom. Among them, a weathered journal caught our attention, a diary meticulously penned by Dr. Frankenstein himself. Within its pages lay the answers we so desperately sought. As we devoured the contents of the journal, we uncovered a revelation that shattered our understanding of our existence. Dr. Frankenstein's madness had surpassed our comprehension, leading him to pursue a power beyond life and death, the power to manipulate the very fabric of reality. His final experiment, the creation of Eve, was not an end in itself, but rather a means to an unthinkable end. He believed that by merging our monstrous existence with the essence of life itself, he could reshape the world according to his own desires, transcending the limitations of mortality. The magnitude of his ambition and the implications of his actions left us breathless. We were not merely the byproducts of his hubris, we were instruments in his grand design. His experiments with life and death had torn open a rift in the fabric of reality, unleashing forces that threatened to consume everything we held dear. Driven by a newfound urgency, we pressed on, determined to undo the catastrophic legacy of our Creator. Our journey led us to a hidden chamber at the heart of the castle, a chamber pulsating with otherworldly energy. There, amidst crackling energies and swirling mists, we confronted the culmination of Dr. Frankenstein's obsessions. Before us stood a grotesque amalgamation, a twisted fusion of machinery, flesh, and pulsating energy. It was a monstrous contraption, a conduit that connected our world to dimensions unknown. Dr. Frankenstein, his mind consumed by madness, stood at its helm, reveling in his godlike power. With a surge of determination, we confronted him, demanding an end to his unholy experiments. But Dr. Frankenstein, lost in his delusions, refused to yield. He believed himself to be the harbinger of a new era, blind to the devastation he had wrought upon the delicate balance of life. A cataclysmic battle ensued, a clash of titanic forces that shook the very foundation of the castle. Thunder roared and lightning crackled, reflecting the turmoil within our souls. The clash of creator and creation, fueled by anger, remorse, and a desperate desire for redemption, threatened to tear us apart. In a final, desperate act, I harnessed the remnants of humanity within me, reaching out to Dr. Frankenstein, pleading with him to abandon his madness. As our eyes met, a flicker of recognition and remorse sparked within him. The weight of his actions crashed down upon him, shattering the walls of his delusion. In that moment of vulnerability, the truth revealed itself. Dr. Frankenstein, the brilliant yet tormented scientist, had never sought to create monsters. He had been driven by a desire to conquer death, to defy the natural order and reclaim what he had lost, a loved one who had been torn away by mortality's cruel grasp. His experiments had been a tragic manifestation of grief, a desperate attempt to rewrite the laws of existence itself. The monsters he had created, Adam, Eve, and I, were born out of his anguish, his unyielding love for those he had lost. As the realization washed over us, the battlefield fell silent. The pulsating energies of the chamber subsided, leaving behind an atmosphere heavy with sorrow and regret. Dr. Frankenstein, burdened by the weight of his actions, collapsed to his knees, his gaze filled with a haunting mix of remorse and relief. In that moment, the line between creator and creation blurred. We, the misunderstood monsters, shared in his pain and sorrow. The tragedy of our existence bound us together in a web of remorse and forgiveness, transcending the boundaries of life and death. Our tumultuous journey had come to an end, and the revelations we had uncovered had forever altered the course of our lives. Dr. Frankenstein, once a harbinger of destruction, had become a broken man seeking redemption. And as the dust settled, we were left to grapple with the profound impact of our intertwined destinies. Little did we know that the final chapter of this twisted tale would hold one last heart-wrenching revelation, one that would forever reshape our understanding of life, death, and the fragile nature of humanity. Chapter 5. The Fragile Bonds. The revelation that awaited us in the final chapter of our journey would test the limits of our understanding and challenge the very fabric of our existence. As the dust settled and silence enveloped the chamber, we gathered around Dr. Frankenstein, our creator, who bore the weight of his remorse and sought a chance at redemption. In the depths of his anguish, he revealed a secret that shattered the remnants of our fragile understanding. His experiments had not been confined to the creation of Adam, Eve, and me. He had succeeded in resurrecting his lost loved ones, infusing them with the remnants of their former selves. They lived among us, hidden from the world, a testament to his unyielding love. As the truth washed over us, our perceptions shifted. We had been consumed by our own pain and grievances, blinded to the immense grief that had fueled our Creator's actions. Dr. Frankenstein, tormented by his past and desperate for solace, had resorted to forbidden arts in a desperate attempt to bring back those he held dear. Guilt and understanding intertwined within us, creating a complex tapestry of emotions. We stood on the precipice of a choice, one that would define our futures and the fragile bonds we had formed. The revelation of the resurrected loved ones beckoned us to confront our own longing for connection, to grasp the opportunity for forgiveness and healing. With hearts heavy yet hopeful, we ventured forth to meet the resurrected loved ones, beings who had been granted a second chance at life through Dr. Frankenstein's recklessness. Their presence stirred a myriad of emotions within us: longing, fear, and a profound sense of kinship. As we stood face to face with them, we saw the reflections of our own struggles and yearnings. The scars of our shared journey were etched upon their faces, their eyes brimming with the weight of the past. A fragile understanding formed, transcending the boundaries of life and death, creator and creation. In that poignant moment, forgiveness and compassion prevailed. We acknowledged our shared roles in this tragedy, the interplay between creation and creator. It was a dance of existence, forever intertwined, forever seeking solace in the face of the unknown. Bound by our collective grief and longing, we forged new bonds, a fragile network of understanding and acceptance. Dr. Frankenstein, the creator who had once abandoned his creations, became a father figure, guiding us with his newfound humility and wisdom. Together, we embarked on a path of redemption, striving to atone for the consequences of our existence. The shattered pieces of our lives began to mend as we navigated the complexities of a world that had rejected us, seeking solace in the relationships we had formed. As time unfolded, we became a beacon of hope, spreading compassion and understanding amidst a world plagued by fear and ignorance. Dr. Frankenstein's legacy transformed from one of monstrosity to one of redemption, his name forever intertwined with ours, the misunderstood monsters who sought solace in the darkness. And so, dear reader, as the final chapter of our story comes to a close, we leave you with a message of compassion and understanding. The monsters that society fears are not always what they seem. In the depths of their existence lies a yearning for acceptance, a longing for love and connection that echoes within us all. May our tale serve as a reminder that the true monsters are not the creations of ambitious scientists, but rather the darkness that resides within the human heart, a darkness that can be conquered only through empathy, forgiveness, and the recognition of our shared humanity.